So welcome back to this module. So in this module, we will build the code editor project. So this will be the final version of the application that we are going to build in this entire module. So you can see we have these three different sections. The first one is for the HTML, the second one is for the CSS, the third one is for the JavaScript, in which we will see the results of these particular code. So if I enter here an h1 element, so like the opening and closing of the h1 element, and here if I enter hello and then h1 element, you can see we immediately get the output inside this particular output section. And here if I select the h1 element to change its color, so like if I enter here color like white, so you can see now the color of the h1 element is actually changed. And if I enter here some more complex code, like if I enter here a project of mine which I developed, which is for the love calculator, you can see I have added the all HTML elements. And if I enter the CSS part, so if I here enter the CSS, now you can see we get this particular love calculator section, which is a form elements. And now if I enter the JavaScript part for the love calculator, now we can interact with this particular application. If I enter my name, and here if I enter my partner's name, if I click on calculate, you can see we get the love percentage. If I again calculate it, we are actually randomly generating the elements, means the percentage, which is actually love calculator project. So we will develop this entire project in this particular module. It is similar to the code pen application. You can see it like this is the code pen. Like if you are not familiar with it, maybe you are familiar. If you are just a beginner, then maybe you have not seen. So it is like this one. You can see you can write here your HTML code, your CSS code, your JavaScript, and then the result will be displayed here. So if I enter like here my own love calculator project, I enter here, and if I copy the CSS and paste it here, and if I enter the JavaScript as well, and now if I enter my name here, you can see this is my name. If I click on calculate, you can see I get my percentage value. Okay, so we are going to create the clone of this entire project. Of course, we are going to just mainly focus on the basics of the project. We are not going to add these kinds of features like settings. These are some advanced part that will take a lot of time and effort to create this thing. Okay, and also you need to actually open this particular website, which is cdnjs, because for getting these icons, that is for the HTML, CSS and the JavaScript, and also for this output one, we need to actually use the font awesome. So we need to actually come back to this cdnjs website. You just need to simply type it here cdnjs.com, and here you need to search for the font awesome. Simply click on that. This will be a toolkit used for the icons library. So you need to just simply copy this with the link tag, and then you need to simply paste it inside the head section of your index.html. So I will also going to do this step again in the next part of this particular project, which is the HTML part of the code editor project. Okay, so this is the code editor project that we want to build in this module. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next lecture. Thank you very much. Now for the saving of the time, I have created the required files for building this code editor project inside my Visual Studio Code. So these files are index.html, style.css and script.js file, and also I have linked these files with their respective tags. Now before moving forward, we need to actually get this particular link, which is copy this particular link tag. So we need to actually add it inside the head tag on index.html, and here I will be click on the view and word wrap. Now you can see we get this particular font awesome toolkit that is actually used to get the icons that are required for building this particular project. And I have also launched the final version of the application, that is this one, and I'm going to refresh it so that we get this fresh screen. And this is the version of the application that we want to build, which is code editor project, and this will be the final version of the application that we want to build. Okay, so first thing is we need to actually create a one container. Inside of that we will place all of these elements. So we need to add here lot of division tags, so you need to watch these things carefully. Otherwise, if you made any of the typo, you will face some issues. So the first thing is we need to actually create the container. Press a tab key and you can see here we have created the first container in which everything will be presented. And after that, we need to create the another division tag with the left. So the left one is actually used to denote this one, which is for the box. So actually I'm going to place here 3 boxes. So whenever we click on it, we are actually achieving this color change with the use of the CSS. So inside of this left one, we need to place a box. So here we need to again use the box, and instead of that, first we need a label. So for label, I'm going to leave the for attribute as empty one, and inside of this we need a I tag, that is this one, and then we also need to close this I tag. So this will be used for the font awesome ones, that is used to get the icon. So here I'm going to use the class which is FA, which is for the brands class, brands, and then to provide the space and then FA, and then we want a HTML5 icon. If I control save it, you can see we get this HTML5 icon. Okay, so that is first icon, we get it here. And then we need the text area, because for adding the code we require a text area. So I'm going to actually remove everything here except the ID one, and also I'm going to remove these calls, this rows also, and here I'm going to add the event which is on key up. So as soon as I leave the keyboard, once we type inside of that and once we leave the keyboard, then that particular event will be triggered, and here we need to call the run function. Okay, and instead of that also we need to provide the ID. So this will be for the HTML code. So that is the first box which is used for the HTML one. You can see we get it, and we can also set the style for this resizing inside the CSS. We are going to handle this inside the CSS part of the project. Similarly, I'm going to copy this box and here paste it 2 more times, and here we need to just simply change the ID name to the CSS code. Right, and then here we also need to change it to the JS code. Okay, and also inside of this particular label one, we want to display our label which is HTML, and here we want to display the CSS, and here we need to display the JavaScript. Okay, and then we need to change the brand name. So first class will remain the same, which is FA brands, and here we need to add the FA CSS 3 alt, that is for the alteration one, and then here we need to add the FA JS one. If I control save it, we can see we get the JS logo, we get the CSS3 logo, and if I just simply remove this alt one, then we are getting this particular one which is not looks great. So that is the one, we need this alt one that will looks like the HTML5 version of the logo. Okay, so these are the HTML elements for these 3 sections, which is HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Now we need to also place the element which is for the output one. So coming back to the our version of the application, so after the end of this left division, here we need to create the another division which is for the right one, and instead of that we need a label and the text area. So I'm going to copy it from here and I will be pasting the label and the text area inside the right division element, and here we need to simply change the class. So I'm going to remove the class name FA. So here we need to use the solid, and then we need to here use the FA play one, which will denotes the run icon, and then here I will be use the output to display the output, and then we need to also change the ID name. So ID is going to be output. So you can see now finally the right division is also completed. We get the output text area. So yeah, that's it for the code for the HTML part for the entire project. So in the next part, we are going to start with the CSS of this particular code editor project. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next lecture. Thank you very much. So now it's time to start with the CSS part for this particular code editor project. So for that we need to use the style.css file. Instead of that, first I'm going to select the universal selector. And here you guessed it right. First we are going to reset the default margin. Then padding is also going to 0. And then we need to set the box sizing to border box. Okay, and then also I'm going to apply the font family, which is sans serif. Now you can see the font of the project is changed and also the default styling of the browser is changed. And after that I'm going to apply the body. Instead of that I will be using the background to apply the linear gradient color. So background, and then I will be using here a linear gradient function. So it is like to right top. And then I will be providing the color code. So here I will be using the color code like 2b 2b 2b. So this will be the first color code that I will be used. Then we need 383838. So this will be the second color code. And then I will be here using some more color codes like 4545 and 45. Okay, and then I will be using here another color code like 525252. Okay, so this will be the color codes, and then I will be applying another color code which is like 616161. So I have added here multiple colors. Almost they are look like same, just creating this particular effect of the color. Now don't worry, we are going to fix it once we start the code. So here what we will do, I am going to click on view and click on border wrap. Okay, and after that here I will be adding the color which is used for the font colors. So font color is going to be like FF. Control save it, and you can see we get this white color. And then what I'm going to do here, I'm going to specify the height to 100 VH. Now you can see the tiling structure is actually solved. Okay, so that's it for the body color. Or if I can just simply remove here these three colors, if you want you can leave it, or if you want you can remove it. Then we get this kind of dark version of the color. You need to get the lighter version of the color by combining with these all 5 colors to create a gradient. We get this final result. You can experiment with the colors from here. If you want a reddish one, you can do that, but I want a gray version. That is the reason. Here I actually remove the 100 VH height. Okay, so that marks the completion of the code for the body element. Then we need to select the container. Inside of the container, first I'm going to set the width to 100%. Okay, and then we need to set the height to 95 VH. And then we need to apply the padding. Now painting order is like padding, so we're going to apply the padding 5 pixel. And then we need to add the display to flex, which will arrange these two elements side by side like left and right. Okay, because inside the container we have two direct childs. The first is the left, the second is the right one. Okay, and after that we need to select the left division, and also we need to select the right division elements. And instead of that, first we need to set the flex basics to 50%. Then we need to apply the padding, which is going to be like 10 pixel. You can see once I apply the padding, then this particular JavaScript one text area will be shifted to the next line. You can see here. Okay, and after that we need to apply the code separately to this particular left division, that is this one. So the first thing is I'm going to set the display to flex, and after that I will be using the flex direction to a column like structure, and then I will be adding here a justify content, which is going to be space between. So you can see now they have a lot of spaces between this particular one. Okay, so you can see it almost looks like this one. This spaces is generated, but we need to actually separately handle these text areas. And after that we need to select the left again, which is the left division. Under that left division we need to select the box one also. And here, instead of that, we need to select the height. So height is going to be 25 VH. So you can see we have increased the height. And after that, we need to select the text area so that we can modify the content of the text area, means modify the text area element. So here first I'm going to select the width to 100%. Control save it. Now you can see it's getting, means it's actually taking the 100% width of its container. Alright. And then I'm going to specify the height to also 100%. So you can see it's also getting the height. So here actually this, if I refresh it, now you can see the JavaScript version is also gets the height. Now if I increase the height like 35 VH, then it's going to increase a lot. So 25 VH, or I can say that 28 VH seems to be good. Okay. And after that, for just avoiding this resizing, we need to here use the resize property to none, so that the user doesn't able to resize these windows. Okay. The next property we want is the background color. So we want a darker grayish color. So it is like 1F, 1F, 1F. You can see we get this dark color to these text areas. And for their font color, we want a white. So whenever we type something here, we get the white. Okay, a white color. And then we need to apply the padding. So padding from top and bottom is going to 10 pixel, and from left and right it is going to be 20 pixel. And after that we need to apply the border to none. So we are going to remove the border and also the outline to none. Okay, and here we want to increase the font size to 18 pixel, and then we need to apply the border radius. So not a border, it's like border radius. So it is like 0 pixel and 0 pixel. This will be used to actually not getting the border rounded corner from this particular side, or also from the right side of the top right, left corner and top right corner, to avoid the border radius from the top left and right corner. And we want a border radius from the left side of the bottom and also the right side of the bottom. So here I'm going to apply 5 pixel and then again 5 pixel. If I control save it, now you can see we get the rounded corners from just only at the bottom of the left and right of the text areas. So this is how the border radius property applied to this text area. After that we need to add the text area, and here I will be using the focus one, and then to start its body. And then here I will be using the background color. So whenever there is a focus on it, then we need to actually change its color. So it is like 2A, 2A, 2A. If I control save it, now if I click it, then we will see the lighter version of the color of the text area, means the color of the text area changes to the light gray. Now I have actually forgot one element inside the HTML part, which is the iframe element. So under this particular right, we have an iframe element. It is not a text area element, so we need here a iframe one, and copy it and paste it. I control save it. Now you can see we get this iframe. So now we need to style this iframe element. I made one mistake in the HTML part of the project. Now that is fixed. Instead of using text area, we need to use the iframe. The mistake is done because I have copied the code, so it's better to avoid the copy paste in some cases. So now the problem is fixed. Now coming back to the style.css. So here the next element that we want to style is actually an iframe element. So here I will be selecting the iframe element. The first thing is we need to specify the width and height, and so I'm going to copy this width and height and I'm going to paste it here. So we don't need a resize property. We want a background color. So background color we am going to use here this particular one, and then I'm going to here specify the border and the outline to none. So I'm going to copy it, pasting it and control save, and now you can see the border and the outline is actually removed. Then similarly we need a border radius one, so copy it and paste it here, and if I control save it, now we get the rounded corners at the bottom of the left and the right corners. So that is for the iframe element. The next thing is we need to actually add some CSS style to these labels. So for that we need to select here a label, and then to select the font awesome icons, which is the I tag. The first thing is we need to provide the margin from top and bottom to 0, and from left and right it is going to be 10 pixel. Now you can see the margin is applied to these things. Okay, and then we need to again select the label. This one label, and then to start its block of the code. So the first thing is we need to select the display to flex. If I control save it, now you can see, and also we need to use the align items to the center. If I do that, and then if I enter here background color like 1A, 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 if I control save it, now you can see the color is actually changed, which is for this particular one, which is for the label. And after that we need to increase its height. So height is going to be increased like 30 pixel. You can see the height is also increased, and then I'm going to increase the border radius. So border radius is going to be like 5 pixel, then 5 pixel, and then we want a 0 and 0 pixel, so that we get the rounded corners from the top left corner, from the top right corner, but not at the bottom left corner and at the bottom right corner of the label. So at last we need to change the color of these font awesome icons. So for that we need to select the FA brands class, and also we need to select the FA solid class. Then to start its block of the code, and here we need to use the color, which is going to be aqua color. Control save it. Now you can see the color code is applied only to these solid one. So here I have not specified the dot because it is a class selector. If I control save it, now you can see the color is changed for all of this. Or you can use here aqua marine color if you want to use a different color. So I will be going with the aqua marine, so that to actually make it a little different than the final version of the application. So you can see now the style of the entire project is same, just like the final version of the application. So in the next part we are going to start with the JavaScript part for the project. So now it's time to start with the JavaScript part for the project, which is the code editor project. So for that we need to use the script.js file, and this file is already linked inside the index.html with this particular script tag. So I have specified the name directly here inside this particular src attribute. The reason for that because the file is present in the same directory. Now coming back to the script.js, so here we need to create the function, which is a run function. Now this particular function is actually called inside the every box. So if I come back to the index.html here, you can see it. We are actually calling a run function to every text area inside the onKeyUp event. So here inside the write version, we don't need to listen to this particular event because I have copied the code. So I'm going to remove this particular event from here, because inside of this particular iframe we want to display the output. So coming back to the script.js again, now inside of that first we need to get the reference to the HTML code, CSS code and the JS code. So these are actually the text area ID names. So here I'm going to use the let keyword dot get element by ID, and here I will be adding an HTML code, which is the name of the text area ID, and then we also want to add a value. Means we need to get the value of this particular element and store it inside this HTML code variable. Similarly, we need to store the reference of the CSS text area and also the JavaScript text area. So here I will be providing the CSS, and then this one is going for the JS, and here I will be naming as CSS code, and this one be our JS code, and here also I'm going to use the camel case typing HTML code. Now we are actually getting the reference of all of these three elements, and also we are getting their values and initialize it to these three variables. And after that we need to also get the reference to the output is equal to, and then here I will be using the document.get element by ID, and then we need to specify the ID name, which is actually output. Now here we don't need to get the value because we want to display the result of all of these three text area to this particular output element. Now the main lines of the code, because these three are very easy to understand, means these three lines of the code getting the value, and this one is actually used to display the result. Now the main thing is we need to actually combine the output inside this particular variable. Now with these of this particular variable, we are going to combine the HTML and the CSS output. So for that, here I will be using the variable name output dot content document. So this will be the content document dot body. So we are going to update the inner HTML of the body, means content document dot body, that is actually used to update the iframe body. So what we want to update, we want HTML code, and also we want to update the style code. So we need to wrap this inside the style tag, and then we need to concatenate with the CSS code variable. Whatever we will be write inside this text area, that will be treated as a CSS code, and then we need to add it, and also we need to close the tag, which is style tag, and this will be added inside the double quotes. And then I'm going to click here view and word wrap. So this will be the style code, and now I'm going to terminate this. Okay, so if I zoom out a little bit, then you can see everything more clearly. So we will actually done what, we are actually updating the output element of the iframe. If I control save it, and now if I try to add something here like h1, now you can see it immediately update inside the output variable. So if I enter here hello, or I can just simply let this, what is hack, it is not hack, it is hello, and here I will enter h1. Now actually I press the control s. Now here I will be adding the h1, and I'm going to change the color. Pressing the tab key, we need to actually use your color to aqua. Now you can see the color is changed. So it means that our CSS and the HTML part is working fine. Refresh it. Now it's time to actually evaluate the JavaScript inside the iframe, because the output one has a reference to the iframe element. So here we need to use the output dot content window. So this will be used to evaluate the JavaScript. So it is like content window dot, and we are going to use with the eval function. So this is a JavaScript function. So here we need to pass the JS code. So whatever we will write here, it's going to evaluate the JS code inside the iframe body. Now for the testing, I'm going to add my own project inside the HTML, CSS and JavaScript, and then we will see the output. So for testing purpose, I'm going to add here some code like the HTML code here, and then I will be adding here some CSS code, and then I will be adding the JavaScript code. So you can see this is the animation code. If I can do it, you can see this will be the animation code. If I just simply remove the JavaScript version and then I paste the code again, you can see this is the JavaScript animation code project that I have developed in my previous courses. And similarly, if I open the final version of the application, if I paste the JavaScript code here and also the CSS code, then I paste the HTML code here, you can see we get the same result of the JavaScript animation. And if I make some changes, you can see now we get the key event up. Anytime I press the key, it's going to trigger the event, and then project will be run again. If I press this space key again, then you can see we will see the animation similarly inside of that. So yeah, our project is working fine. So that's it for this particular module. If you like this module, then leave your review, because your review definitely motivates me to actually create more awesome projects like this. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next lecture. Thank you very much.